Matco Walsh, the general foreman. I'm currently in charge of Doka Super Climb system. Highly efficient, and in regards to setup, we had a real nice job. Things came pre-assembled, minor assembly on the job, put it together in easily less than a week. Set up a form that's basically about a 12.5, I believe it is, and we're rolling pretty good right now. We're past typical floors and getting into some odd floors, other than some minor changes. We in our pour cycle, we open those walls up about an hour and a half, and we're driving the form up. We can stroke up. It's a 13-foot ram. We'll stroke right on up, and 2 hours we're placed back in our shoes. Doesn't involve too much in regards to reattaching the form system. We push it up with the hydraulics and just run the re-anchor bolts in, sit it on some shoes, and 2 hours we're tying rebar into our form, installing doors, and going on to our next pour cycle. On top of our form, we've attached a placing boom for concrete. Now we use that. We have 2 separate pour cycles, 2 separate core systems. So we have one core that has our placing boom on it, and while that form is still open, we go ahead and place concrete on the other half of the pour cycle with the form open and rebar being installed, which is nice. You know, it doesn't rock and roll, doesn't throw our form out of whack, which is real nice. I've had forms in the past that we haven't had quite that luxury, but then through that cycle, we go ahead 4 days with essentially 2.5 guys. We close up a form with, I'd say, nearly 3,000 square feet, linear feet that are, square footage, 3,000 square foot, and pump it up every 4 days with those 2 guys. And we have another form system in the same job that we're placing the concrete from one core to another into that with that same placing boom about 75 feet away. Nice and solid. Some of the good aspects of the form system are the corners. When you go to release the form, knock the ties out, your taper ties. We're using actually a combination of taper ties and Dewey dag rods, we call them, but they're just a coil rod with sleeving, or you could use taper ties. We like the taper ties actually. Nice lightweight inch taper ties. We pop those out. Open up the corners on the outside, open up the corners on the inside, which is just the inside corners, tight box. We just ratchet the corners loose. I can't recall what they call their corners there, but they're a fixed corner. We ratchet it in, gives us separation from the wall, and that essentially allows us to pump the form up in a real short amount of time. As far as placement of the concrete, form holds up nice and tight. We're pouring 18-inch walls right now. We just did a floor that was 12'10". We poured it to the top of the form. We actually added to the form a few inches just to top off some areas where the slab went away. So we poured essentially 13 feet 4 inches of concrete. Form held up tight and right. I would highly recommend the Super Climb system. It's efficient and low maintenance. And then we also have a low amount of manpower that's needed to run it.
My name is Steve Likens. I'm a concrete superintendent for Walsh Construction. I'm presently involved in a project 2550 North Lake, 40-story high-rise with 2 self-rising cores, 22,000 square feet of deck. I am very impressed with the Super Climber system, the SPC, for many reasons. One of them being the prefab and the installation and initial putting it together was very quick and easy. Very few parts and pieces had to go into it. I really like the way that it has the long cylinder that I can push from the bottom of the form off of very strong concrete. I can push it all up at one time. I like the fact that I can start stripping the wall at 8 a.m. in the morning, and I can start installing rebar on that wall at 10 a.m. in the morning, which really helps our cycle. The top of the superstructure is very strong. I can place all my rebar on top of there. I have a placing boom positioned on top of the core, which is not attached to the walls at all. It is attached to the superstructure of the core. It's very convenient to be able to use the placing boom to pour all my concrete, my decks, my walls, my columns at any time during the cycle. I think that's it.
The Doka Super Climb, safe, fast, and efficient.